Hi, my name is Brent Davila. I was born with severe hemophilia A, and I'm about to show you what I have to go through to make sure that I can replace the clotting protein that my body does not produce on its own. Now, without this clotting protein, my body will bleed internally, spontaneously, much like anybody would, if you're doing regular physical activity. But for most people, they have a clotting protein that enables them to heal and clot and stop that bleeding, whereas my body genetically does not produce one of those clotting proteins. So what I have to do is I have to replace it by giving myself an IV. Now I am replacing it with this. I don't know if you can see, but it's just a little freeze-dried powder. It is a clotting protein that is made synthetically. It doesn't have any human parts in it. And I reconstitute it with some saline solution here, just to get it into a liquid form. And I do an IV right into one of my veins here. I've had to do this my whole life. Without it, I would just continue bleeding into muscles, joints, and organs, and it wouldn't stop, and it could be potentially fatal, and if not fatal, could be extremely debilitating. It could cause me to lose range of motion permanently in my joints, and could cause all sorts of other complications permanently. So I treat preventatively, prophylactically we call it, to make sure that I maintain levels that are normal of this clotting protein that I can't produce on my own. So that's what I'm doing right now. I don't have, luckily, any bleeds going on at this point. A bleed is when you get an injury and it continues just bleeding into the area without stopping. And this would stop it if that were going on. But luckily, I'm just doing a preventative infusion right now to make sure that that doesn't happen. So, everything has to be sterile when you're doing this. Try and make sure that we use alcohol preps to swab things off. Make sure that there aren't any bacteria or viruses or anything on top of the stuff that you're directly injecting into your body. So that's a good thing. Now I've been doing this since I was 7 years old. I learned to do it my first time on myself at Camp Honor that the Arizona Hemophilia Association runs. They really encourage kids to step up and take some responsibility for their own conditions, and learn how to infuse. Learn how to infuse themselves, learn how to properly mix all of the medications. And that's what I'm doing right here. Just putting this transfer device from the saline solution onto the medication. As you can see, the saline went into the medication there and it's mixed up into a liquid form. And I'll do that with this other one here. But like I said, I went to Camp Honor through the Arizona Hemophilia Association as a kid since I was 7, and I still go there today as a counselor to try and give back to some of the younger kids that are growing up with the same issues that I had to deal with as a kid. And it's really had a big impact on my life because it's something that you don't normally get to talk to other people about. It's not something that other people normally would understand or have ever even heard of necessarily. But when you go to Camp Honor, there's a lot of kids there who either have bleeding disorders themselves or are siblings of people that have bleeding disorders. It's a really fantastic experience just to be able to be around people that understand what you're going through, or at least have the concept of it, So that's had a really big impact on my life. Like I said, I learned to infuse myself for the first time there. I got a Big Stick award we hand out to the kids that manage to do it on their own. And even if they can't, it's a good opportunity just to try it out. Now this is just the syringe that I'm going to draw up this medication into. It's all mixed up. And I'm just gonna take this off, this neat little transfer device, put the syringe on there, flip it over, and pull it back. And voila. Got it in there. Now, this stuff might not seem like much. You know, it's just a white powder you mix with saline solution. This medication is incredibly expensive. It's a recombinant product that they make essentially by taking hamster DNA and putting it into bacteria to culture the specific protein that they need. And this medication, this dose, this is one dose for me. It costs about $5,000. And I need to do that every 2 days for my entire life, which adds up. And so it's, you know, $750,000, maybe $800,000 a year for this medication. And it's something that I need, if not to live, then certainly to maintain any kind of quality of life. Because, like I said, without it, I get spontaneous bleeding into muscles, joints, and organs. Your joints, especially, are one of the more vulnerable areas to get bleeds in. They really essentially swell up and fill with blood, which is not only incredibly painful, but it restricts range of motion, and like I said, it can cause permanent damage, meaning that, you know, you can't necessarily use that joint anymore. So fortunately, I have this product available to me that prevents that, but not everybody is that lucky. You know, there are certainly older people that didn't have access to, you know, these types of products that do have permanent damage to their bodies, to joints, to their eyes, to, you know, different, just any part of their body that they got injured and weren't able to properly treat, can cause permanent damage. So fortunately, I have access to this type of medication, but it is insanely expensive, and that's one of the biggest difficulties that faces people with bleeding disorders and families with bleeding disorders is, you know, being able to cope with the cost of something that you can't do without. It really is life-saving, really is critically important, and it's very important to having any kind of quality of life. So thankfully, I have access to it. And this is the butterfly. This is the needle that I use in order to get it in the vein. It's the same kind of needle that you use when you draw blood at the doctor's office, and it's essentially the same thing. So I'm going to be sticking that into the vein, shoot, like so, and hopefully injecting the medication. So I'm going to put this on the end of the syringe. Like so. I try and get the air bubbles out of there. Okay, so that's all set up, it's all mixed. I used proper sterile technique. I didn't touch the ends of anything, so I didn't get anything contaminated, which is good. I'm going to take this Coban here. This stuff is great. Get red Coban, it's more stylish than the tan. And now I just got to make sure I have a good vein. So I'm gonna tighten this tourniquet here. You can see it's just a little release thing I can tighten, and it makes my veins pop up a little bit more so I can get to them a bit easier. Then I think I'm going to go for this one right here. It's a pretty good one. Nice and big, nice and plump. I think I can get it. and take an alcohol prep. Make sure the area is nice and clean, because again, I'm directly injecting things into my bloodstream, so I want to make sure it's all as clean as possible, as sterile as possible. So I'm going to take just a minute for that to dry. But you know, this is just a regular thing for myself and for kids of all ages and families throughout the world that have to deal with stuff like this. And you know, honestly, it's given me a really great appreciation for you know, other people and what other people have to deal with, because I have it great as far as hemophilia is concerned, as far as bleeding disorders are concerned. I'm in great shape. I have access to medication. I have what I need. Unfortunately, other people aren't as fortunate as I am. And it's still an issue throughout the world, and even in the United States, access to factor, especially with the cost of the medication. Like I said, it's, for me, about $800,000 a year, and it scales by weight. So, you know, a young kid growing up needs more and more and more medication as it gets bigger, and that's just the way it goes. So I'm going to go ahead and take it and get it right in the vein right here. First shot. Bam. So as you can see, luckily I managed to get it my first try. I do still mess up. Like I said, I've been doing this since I was 7 years old, and I still don't always get it the first shot. But as you can see, all that dark blood there, that's venous blood, so I am definitely in a vein. And I'm just pulling back the air bubbles, and now I'm going to start pumping in this medication. But first I want to take off the tourniquet, because that's, you know, keeping the blood and everything there. So I'm going to take that off and start pumping it in. Now, you know, this is only about 10 milliliters of medication. It takes me, you know, 10 minutes to pump it in, if that, and I go pretty slow. You can go a lot faster than I do usually. But, you know, even 20 years ago, the treatment for this was you had to sit in a hospital for an hour or an hour and a half or a couple hours while they drip fed product and, you know, factor replacement therapy into your bloodstream that came from other human donors. So I've, you know, injected all of the factor. I'm just going to set this syringe down here, and I'm going to take a gauze and put it over the needle where I've stuck it in and pull it out. And put a little bit of pressure on there just to stop the bleeding. And that's it. You know, that's the whole process. It's pretty easy, straightforward. Like I said, there's 7-year-olds that can do it to themselves, which is pretty incredible. But it's really a great opportunity. It's a great thing for them, you know, to be able to understand and treat and manage their condition, because it's something that you have to live with every day, your entire life, and it affects every aspect of your life. You know, big or small, it has an impact. So it's a really great thing just to be able to encourage, especially the younger kids, to take responsibility and to learn about it, to learn about the condition, so that, you know, they can be prepared for what's coming in life and just be prepared to deal with it. If you're interested in learning more about hemophilia or supporting families that have bleeding disorders, helping them to educate themselves about their conditions, or, you know, get factor or maintain access to insurance coverage, then visit the Arizona Hemophilia Association or go to our website at www.arizonahemophilia.org. Thank you so much.